Well, I have an answer to that. I said, now, tell me the last time that Jack Benny, Red Skelton, Benny comedian.
Johnny Carson wasn't always the smooth, smiling king of late-night TV. Behind the cameras, his temper could get wild. When Wayne Newton outbid him for a prime casino deal, Carson took it personally and started firing off brutal jokes about Newton on air, night after night, until the quiet tension finally blew up into a full-on feud. Still, to the public, Carson reigned supreme, running NBC's The Tonight Show for 3 straight decades and keeping America laughing like clockwork. But behind the laughs, the pranks, and the polished desk routine, controversy followed him more than people realized. Carson didn't just glide into TV royalty. His beginnings were about as unglamorous as it gets. Born John William Carson on October 23, 1925 in Iowa, his arrival into the world was anything but flashy. Unlike stars with Hollywood bloodlines, Carson came from a family that had zero ties to show business and no clue how fame even worked. Old census records from the 1840s paint the picture clearly. His ancestors were simple farmers, grinding it out year after year. No spotlight, no stage, no applause. That all changed when one random moment flipped his life upside down. At just 12 years old, Carson stumbled upon Hoffman's Book of Magic, and boom, he was hooked. He ordered a magician's kit right away and started running card tricks on family members who never saw it coming. His mom saw the spark and backed him fully, even sewing him a cape for his little magic shows, which only fueled his confidence. By 14, Carson landed his first paid gig, pulling in $3 like a boss. Calling himself the Great Carsoni, he worked firemen's picnics and county fairs all across Nebraska, building swagger one crowd at a time. At Norfolk High School, he didn't stop there. He tested acting and sharpened his humor by writing a comedy column for the school paper. That's where his sharp, slick comedic voice really started forming, the same one that would later dominate television. But the road almost ended early. After graduating high school in 1943, Carson shocked everyone by joining the Navy instead of chasing magic full-time. Commissioned as an ensign, he served aboard the USS Pennsylvania as a communications officer, decoding secret messages in the Pacific. Luckily, the war wrapped up before he saw combat, but Carson still stood out. His skills caught serious attention, even from U.S. Secretary of the Navy, James Forrestal. When asked about his future, Carson didn't play it safe. He straight up said he wanted to be a magician, not a Navy lifer. Forrestal, known for being tough and no-nonsense, challenged him to prove it right there. Without hesitation, Carson pulled out a card trick and crushed it, leaving the famously stiff secretary impressed. That moment hit hard. It showed Carson he could win over even the coldest crowd. He just needed the right platform. After leaving the Navy, he enrolled at the University of Nebraska, kept performing, and leveled up fast. No longer scraping by, he was commanding $25 a show. But more importantly, he realized something big. Carson's college thesis wasn't some boring stack of papers nobody reads. Titled How to Write Comedy for Radio, it broke all the rules. Instead of dry theory, he stitched together audio skits from popular radio shows and layered them with sharp voiceover breakdowns, explaining why the jokes actually worked. Professors were stunned, and the project hit so hard that Carson wrapped up his degree in just 3 years flat. By 1950, he was already grinding in Omaha, juggling jobs as a disc jockey, weather reporter, and commercial reader at local radio stations. It wasn't New York, and it definitely wasn't Hollywood, but his voice was traveling and people were starting to notice. That momentum paid off in 1951 when a college hookup opened a huge door. Carson landed an announcing gig at CBS affiliate KNXT in Los Angeles, even though the production budget was basically spare change. With almost nothing to work with, he created Carson's Cellar, a Sunday afternoon sketch comedy show packed with radio-style humor. What he didn't know was wild. Comedy giants like Fred Allen, Jack Benny, and Red Skelton were already tuning in and loving it. Red Skelton was especially impressed. In 1953, he pulled Carson into the big leagues by hiring him as a writer for his hit show. Then fate came swinging hard in 1954. Just 1 hour before showtime, Skelton accidentally knocked himself unconscious backstage. Chaos erupted, and with zero prep time, Carson was shoved into the spotlight to fill in. Running purely on instinct, Carson crushed it. The crowd lost it, laughter everywhere, and the network took notes. CBS rewarded him with the Johnny A. Carson Show in 1955, but the win didn't last. The half-hour program struggled bad, cycling through writers and directors like a revolving door. After just 39 rough weeks, CBS yanked it off the air. Carson thought he'd blown his one shot, but he wasn't done. he borrowed money from his father and made a risky move to New York. There, he joined the elite Friars Club and started firing off rapid one-liners that impressed powerful insiders. Slowly, it became clear the show's failure wasn't all on him. Something bigger was coming. In 1957, ABC tossed Carson a lifeline, hiring him to host the quiz show Who Do You Trust? That 5-year run erased the sting of his earlier flop and rebuilt his image as a sharp, unpredictable TV personality. Even more important, it changed everything behind the scenes. Every great late-night host needs a sidekick, and Carson found his match right there. On Who Do You Trust? He clicked instantly with Ed McMahon, the perfect straight man. Their chemistry turned the show into daytime TV gold, but Carson had his eyes on a bigger prize: prime-time dominance. When The Tonight Show host Jack Paar announced he was stepping down, NBC moved fast. They made Carson an offer he couldn't walk away from. On October 1st, 1962, Carson officially took over late-night television. To kick things off, heavy hitters like Tony Bennett, Mel Brooks, and Joan Crawford rolled through the studio, bringing serious star power. Still, the ratings were shaky at first. Then Carson made the smartest move of his career. He brought Ed McMahon with him. McMahon's booming introduction instantly became legendary, a nightly call announcing the arrival of late-night royalty. Johnny Carson ran The Tonight Show like a machine, and every second was calculated. Each night kicked off with a monologue stacked with 16 to 22 razor-sharp one-liners. By Carson's own rules, he never hit the same topic more than 3 times, keeping the jokes fast, fresh, and lethal. After that came sketch comedy, celebrity interviews, and a musical guest to close it out. Sound familiar? It should. Carson literally built the late-night blueprint that everyone copied, but nobody ever matched his flair. Beyond the format, Carson had quirks nobody else could pull off. That fake golf swing after his monologue became legendary. Recurring characters like Karnak the Magnificent and Art Fern showed how deep his comedy bag really was. By then, his takeover of late night felt unstoppable. But while his career looked bulletproof, his personal life was messy from the jump. Long before the fame explosion, Carson married his college sweetheart, Jody Wolcott. Even before their 1948 wedding, she worked as his magic assistant. They had 3 sons together, but behind closed doors, the perfect family image was falling apart fast. Both Carson and Wolcott were stepping out on the marriage, and by 1963, the act was over. They split, ending years of quiet tension, and Carson didn't waste any time. Before the divorce ink was even dry, he married Joanne Copeland, a 30-year-old model and occasional actress. That marriage lasted 7 years before crashing out too. In 1972, Copeland walked away with nearly $500,000 plus $100,000 a year in alimony, but Carson barely blinked. By the mid-1970s, Carson was untouchable. He was pulling in one of the biggest audiences on television and cashing one of the fattest paychecks in the business. Adjusted for today, he was earning close to $20 million a year just from The Tonight Show. By 1979, he was the undisputed king of late night, but here's the twist: he didn't even own his own empire yet. That sparked a brutal legal showdown between Carson and NBC over money and control. The fight dragged on, but Carson played it smart and won big. He locked in a massive raise, reduced his workload, and, most important, secured ownership of the show and its back catalog. Power move. Then came another shocker. On September 13, 1972, during a flashy 10-year anniversary celebration for The Tonight Show, Carson stunned the room by announcing he'd gotten married earlier that very day. His new wife was Joanna Holland, an adult fashion model. Their marriage lasted over a decade, which is practically forever in show business. Still, when it ended, it got ugly and expensive fast. After a 2-year divorce battle, Holland walked away with the equivalent of nearly $60 million in today's money. No love lost there. If Carson's earlier marriages felt like short guest appearances, Alexis Moss was the main act. The two married on June 20th, 1987, and she stayed by his side until his death in 2005. That one finally stuck. Then came one of Carson's most infamous controversies. In 1973, he invited flamboyant performer Uri Geller onto The Tonight Show. Geller claimed he had psychic powers, but Carson wasn't buying it. Behind the scenes, he teamed up with famous skeptic James Randi to make sure Geller couldn't sneak in any tricks. Every prop Geller planned to use was secretly prepared by Randi. Once the cameras rolled, nothing worked. Geller froze, squirming under the studio lights in one of the most uncomfortable moments in TV history. Afterward, Geller admitted he went back to his hotel completely crushed, convinced Carson had wrecked his career and reputation. But the plan didn't land the way Carson expected. In a wild twist, the failed performance actually boosted Geller's credibility. Viewers thought his struggle made him look real. The very next day, he booked another major TV appearance, and his fame only grew. Carson, meanwhile, was already eyeing his next conquest, this time setting his sights on buying the Aladdin Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. But just when Carson thought the Aladdin Hotel deal was locked down, Wayne Newton swooped in at the last second with a competing bid and won. Legend has it, Carson did not take that loss lightly. When media headlines painted him as the loser in the deal, Carson fired back the only way he knew how, by unloading a wave of sharp, ruthless jokes about Newton live on The Tonight Show. Newton definitely wasn't laughing. Years later, Newton finally snapped publicly. During a heated appearance on Larry King Live, he blasted Carson as a mean-spirited human being, making it clear the wounds never healed. Things reportedly got so tense that when Carson kept mocking him, a furious Newton stormed straight into Carson's NBC office to confront him face-to-face. According to Newton, he warned Carson flat out. If the jokes didn't stop, he'd handle it the old-fashioned way. And Newton wasn't the only celebrity to feel Carson's bite. Carson was fiercely loyal and took any perceived betrayal very personally. When former guest hosts like John Davidson and Joan Rivers branched off to launch their own talk shows, Carson saw it as pure treason. The Rivers fallout hit hardest. After Joan Rivers debuted her Fox show in 1986, Carson cut her off completely and never spoke to her again. That silence lasted the rest of his life. Then came the goodbye no one was ready for. In 1992, after 30 legendary years packed with laughter, power plays, and controversy, Carson stunned audiences by announcing his retirement. He walked away on his own terms, while still sitting at the top. On his final night, he delivered a quiet, emotional farewell that left millions watching through tears. Even off-camera, Carson never lost his edge. After retiring, he secretly faxed jokes to David Letterman, and some of those punchlines even made it into Letterman's monologues. Behind the scenes, Carson was still pulling strings like the true king of late night. In his final years, Carson stayed mostly out of sight, turning down interviews, cameos, and film roles. Then, quietly and without spectacle, the curtain closed. On January 23, 2005, Johnny Carson passed away from emphysema at the age of 79. The king of late-night television was gone, but his shadow still looms large over every desk, every monologue, and every laugh that followed. Johnny Carson may be gone, but his fingerprints are still all over late-night TV, and there's no escaping that. Every monologue pause, every desk tap, every perfectly timed one-liner, you can trace it straight back to him. The format he built didn't just survive him, it became the rule book. From Letterman to Leno to today's hosts, they're all playing on a stage Carson designed. But here's the real twist. Carson didn't just change television, he controlled it. For decades, he decided who got exposure and who stayed invisible. A single couch appearance could launch a career overnight, while being frozen out could quietly end one. Comics waited by the phone, hoping for that call, knowing Carson's approval was pure gold. And yet, for all that power, Carson stayed distant, guarded, and mysterious. He rarely shared his private thoughts, avoided emotional interviews, and kept his inner circle tight. Fame gave him everything, but it also hardened him. The laughs were public, but the walls were real. Behind the scenes, Carson battled personal demons too. The pressure of delivering night after night, year after year, weighed heavy. Insiders later revealed that Carson struggled with loneliness, insecurity, and a constant fear of losing relevance. Even when he was untouchable, that tension fueled his edge, but it also cost him deeply. Still, when Carson walked away in 1992, he did what almost no one else could. He left on top. No ratings crash, no forced exit, no embarrassing decline. He closed the curtain before the audience could ask for more, locking his legacy in place forever. And when he passed in 2005, the reaction said it all. Comedians, actors, and fans across generations mourned the man who shaped American humor. Late-night hosts paused their shows, networks ran tributes, and the industry collectively admitted something huge. There would never be another Johnny Carson. Today, his influence lives on in every opening monologue and every late-night laugh. Even if younger audiences never watched him live, they're still feeling his impact without realizing it. That's real power. That's real legacy. Love him or hate him, Carson didn't just host late night. He was late night. And no matter how much TV evolves, that crown has never truly been replaced. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the wild, controversial, and legendary life of Johnny Carson, make sure you like this video. It really helps the channel grow. Drop a comment below and let us know what shocked you the most about Carson's story. And don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories, Hollywood power plays, and behind-the-scenes drama you won't hear anywhere else. We've got plenty more coming your way, so stay locked in, and we'll see you in the next video.